Where that was the business sector, and where we're heading just now, the residential sector. Most of the clubs and societies have their meeting rooms here in George Street. Now the next statue of note we're going to pass over here on the right, it's not a hero of mine, and when I explain why, he probably won't be a hero of yours either. William Pitt, Pitt the Younger, Britain's youngest Prime Minister at the age of 24. He became Prime Minister during the Napoleonic Wars. We were running out of money to continue the war against Napoleon, and without any reference to Parliament, never debated, never entered in the statute books, he introduced a temporary emergency tax, a wartime tax. He taxed the whole population on their earned income. In effect, those of us that pay income tax are basically paying an illegal tax. As I said, it was only introduced as a temporary emergency wartime tax. So if you ever have cause to formally tax people, the income tax people, that would be my first question. Why am I still paying an emergency temporary tax for a war that we won a couple of hundred years ago? Now do cast your eyes down to the left as we go over the top of Castle Street here for another stunning view of Edinburgh Castle. Probably Scotland's most iconic building. Now I'm old enough to remember when the telephone was one instrument in the house, not one per person. And of course back then we actually spoke to people on the telephone. We didn't take pictures of our evening meal with it and then share it with everybody we know on Facebook. And if you spent more than 5 minutes on the phone to a new boyfriend or girlfriend, you were getting a row from your mum about the size of the phone bill. Who can remember those days? You're not old enough. No way are you old enough. I mention all this because the man credited with the invention of the telephone was born just round the corner, Alexander Graham Bell. Bell and his parents moved to the United States after his two younger brothers had died of tuberculosis. His father thought the climate, etc., in the USA would be better than here in Edinburgh. Bell followed in his father's footsteps, becoming a teacher of the deaf. Both his mother and wife were deaf. But he was very interested in experimenting with this newfangled electric telegraph. And he was trying to improve an automated version for sending and receiving Morse code, that he stumbled upon the idea of the telephone. If you look ahead of the bus and then to the right, you'll see a set of traffic lights, and then just to the right of the traffic lights, a blue door, the birthplace of Alexander Graham Bell. Of course, he wasn't born on the door, he was born behind the door. Okay. So here we are, Charlotte Square. We have a stop in Charlotte Square. Does anybody wish to get off for Charlotte Square? Nobody for Charlotte Square. It's the last stop before we get back to base. Nobody for this stop. Okay. Now you might remember I pointed out Wellington statue at the start of the tour. Have a look over here on the right to the statue coming into view now. The rider's very stationary, very upright. The horse's head is bowed and low, and all 4 feet are on the ground. It indicates death. It's a statue of Prince Albert, and Queen Victoria actually came to Edinburgh about 3 years after Albert's death to unveil it. She was so taken by the likeness, she collapsed and had to be lifted back into her carriage. Now I don't care what anybody says. I know there's been a lot of speculation over the years. Did Victoria have relationships with other men after Albert's death? I still firmly believe that when she went to her own grave in 1901, she did so still very, very much missing Albert. Now, as I've explained, Edinburgh is the city of festivals. Normally at this time of the year, the gardens that we can see are transformed into a little village. Temporary accommodation is put up for the Edinburgh International Book Festival, including